Okay, guys. So basically, tonight's training is a little bit of a different one. Now, the trainings that I've done the last couple of weeks have obviously been on sort of presentations that I've put together, and they seem to be quite well received. So I am going to carry on doing those, but I wanted to change it a little bit for tonight because what I want to do is I want to go through a few things that I've noticed in planning meetings that I think we could all do with a little bit of help with, really, and a few kind of tips to sort of help us all to build. Because I think pretty much actually everyone tonight on here is recruiting. So there's quite a lot of people in the team that are recruiting. Even if you're not, or maybe your team aren't, I still encourage everyone to be on all the trainings or watch the recordings because it's still helping you whether or not you're just retailing or you're obviously deciding to build and recruit and work your way to manager and beyond. What I've noticed in quite a lot of the recent planning meetings that I've had is that because we are recruiting at the moment and we're all wanting to build our teams and obviously work our way up the marketing plan, we need to be able to do some things really, really well. And I was on a training, I think it was, I don't know if it was just before Christmas, it was a manager's training. And we talked about basically our businesses and kind of the secrets to success. Obviously, I went through quite a lot last week and I have put that recording up finally. If you've missed it, please do watch it. But he talked about basically being able to do a great one-to-one, a great launch, a great event, a great planning meeting, and obviously, look at speaking at your BP. So it was about doing everything well to be able to be good at your business and kind of be the best you can be if you want to go to manager. So it was quite interesting to sort of look back and think, well, what do the team need to be great at? And I thought one of the things that's coming up at the moment, because we're recruiting, it's doing a good one-to-one, and I think it's really important. And I think there's a lot of excitement in the team. There's a lot of motivation. There's a lot of momentum. But I think we need to be able to confidently and competently be able to show somebody the business. So what I thought I'd do tonight is basically go through a presentation for you in terms of, obviously not like I'm doing it for you guys because you guys know what the business is, but I want to go through a presentation, a one-to-one presentation that you could potentially do with somebody who you were showing the business for the first time, either over Skype or over a coffee. Or it might be something that you send them and then you kind of, you have it on either side of your screen and you go through it together on the phone, or however it is that you want to show someone the business. I think this is quite important because I've had a couple of conversations recently in planning meetings, and like I say, there's quite a lot of people recruiting. But what's happening is when they kind of go to show someone the business, they're a little bit maybe unsure of certain areas on the slideshow and what to say. So I hope that you guys find this helpful, this kind of idea that I've had tonight. You can see down the side there's 4 presentations that I've popped up. Don't worry, it's not a 10-hour training. I'm not going to go through all of them with you. But what I think is important is just to point out the different presentations that we've got. And then I'm going to go through one of them, which is our most recent presentation, which you might not even have seen yet. It went on to Forever Knowledge. I think it was only like yesterday or 2 days ago. But it really does show you the business in a very, very different modern way. And this is the one that I think we all need to be using. Obviously, you can choose to use different ones, but also this is the most up-to-date one in terms of figures as well. So this is the one that really we need to be going forward with. So I thought I'd give some notes on that. You can all jot down notes on things that you might struggle with certain slides, or maybe little tips that I can give you guys to say on certain parts of the presentation. So very, very quickly, I'm just going to click on a few of these and just show you a couple of these presentations. So for example, with me. Right, this is one that you might have used before. Oh, bear with me. What's going on? I think you can all just about see that. I'll try and extend it in a second for you. But yeah, this is the one that you might have used before. This is quite an old one, and there's probably a few of you on the oh, here we go. On there tonight that might have actually had this one kind of maybe over a one-to-one with me before you joined the business. I think Becky did, and potentially Deb as well. really, really basic. I just want to go through very, very quickly, and then I go through the main one with you guys, just to show you that they all kind of have the same feel. But this was the old one. So really, it goes through the company, it goes through the history, obviously a little bit about who we are in the UK, and then what it used to do is talk about how we work in terms of team marketing, and it used to show the business in terms of people. So you're able to see that you can grow from this to this. So it gives you a really basic kind of idea of what the business was. And then obviously, again, the 4 tips that we teach, so exactly what we need to do. It touches on the cycle, but I think when you first show this to somebody, this can be quite confusing, like all of this information. So obviously, you'll see in a second it's been reduced down. Obviously, touching on the why was a big thing, and then it started to do this a little bit and show you basically when you look at when you're building your business, how many hours go into your business and how many hours that you do and what you get paid for. So it's the kind of idea of building your business. Then it goes to the areas of income, so it looks at how much you can earn in different areas, and then obviously it went through CCs. We used to go through CCs quite a lot in one-to-ones and touch on it. And I think what the idea is with the business now is to kind of leave the CC talk until they decide to join the business, if they do. I don't think it's something that we're touching on so much in a first meet, if you like, unless somebody already knows a little bit about Forever or a little bit about your business, or maybe they've seen you because you're a close friend and you've spoke to them about CCs. So the old one used to go through CCs a little bit. Then obviously it used to have the kind of the box as such and how we get paid. And I think what we used to find is trying to explain this extra 5% to somebody who has no concept of the business becomes a little bit confusing when you say you've got to do 4 CC to get 5%. So that's kind of something that was a little bit older as well, which we don't say so much anymore. It went through the marketing plan. But I think also what happened here is the percentages were sometimes confusing, which they're not if you know what you're talking about, but potentially if you're showing somebody the business for the first time, it could be a little bit like, hang on, I don't get it, 5%, 8%, what's AS? So I think it works if you understand the business enough, but what we've done now is reduced it down, and it's actually a lot easier to explain even if you are new, which I think is really good, because if you guys have got recruits in your team that are new and they want to start recruiting straight away. So for example, if your ladies want to start recruiting, Marie, Kerry, obviously you're quite new and still learning the business, and also Mandy, I think Catherine you've got that wants to recruit. So without all these percentages, which you'll see in a second, the new one is very, very simplified to be able to not have to talk about the percentages, but still be able to touch on how amazing the opportunity is. So that's kind of gone a little bit. The Flow Mojo is basically something that, again, I'm very, very confidently, competently can explain, but I don't think it's something that's understood till you've been in the business a while. So that's kind of been scrapped a little bit as well. Obviously, we used to go through the different positions on the plan, which show you how much you can earn, and then obviously chairman's bonus, car plan, obviously going through a little bit of a testimonial, and then obviously touching on the products and the marketplace. And then again, it used to show the picture of the NDP, what you get in it, which I think was great, which went missing from one of them, which I'll show you in a second. And then obviously a great ending to it was kind of, does it work for you? And then it was yes, no, maybe. Now, I don't know if anybody's really used that slideshow before, because it was a slightly older one, which I don't think it's been used by so many of you. But the reason I want to do this, guys, very, very quickly before I go through the main one, is just to give you a breakdown of things that you might not have seen that you can go, well, I like that bit, or I'm not sure I'd be able to explain that bit. And maybe I've got some questions about that bit before I do my next one-to-one. So that was kind of a slightly older one, which I've used quite a few times and had quite a lot of success from, but it depends how far you are into the business if you're able to explain it, if that makes sense. I hope you're all with me. This is very, very quickly. This is the BP one. If you've been to your local BP, which hopefully we all should have been by now to some BP near us, then this is the one that you'll have seen. This isn't one that I've generally used for one-to-ones. It's been more one that's used, I think, either on a group basis, like I say, at your BP, or maybe one that you have use to maybe, I don't know, show 3 or 4 people at one time, if you've ever been in a situation where you've had maybe a few people looking at the business. Again, it's the same slogan goes with the business and the company, but it touches a bit more on a general. So what is that person looking at the business for? Just going to go through this very, very quickly, very, very similar. But what this one did, and it's still being used at quite a lot of BPs at the moment. We've used this in sale for the whole time that I've been kind of attending the sale BP. And it's a great one because it actually makes them think about their reason for looking at the business. So it's quite personal, which is what you want a one-to-one to be, because you want it to be about the person, not about you going, this is what I do in the business. It's about what the business can do for you. So always remember that when you're doing a one-to-one, it's about them, not you. And I know that sounds really kind of obvious, but it actually is something important to remember, because it gives a lot more success to your one-to-ones when you turn it around on the potential prospect. Went through a little bit more on the company side of it and the fact of who we were, and then obviously our mission statement. For anybody who's not attended a BP, you might not be familiar with this mission statement here. What I would say is, if you want to write it down now, you need to be. Really, really quickly when you start this business, you need to know this, guys, because this is massive. Because when you're trying to talk to somebody about the business, it's very, very unlikely, and those of you who've been to the sale BP, and I know that I've presented this bit before, will have heard it said, when we talk about this part of the slideshow, we certainly do pick out the words dignity, integrity, empathy, and fun. And we often say, can you say that those 4 words are in your mission statement in your job at the moment? And you get an awful lot of people going, oh God, no, absolutely not. Because it's not, basically. You don't get those kind of things. People don't go to work to have fun unless you're very lucky and you have a great job, which is great if you do. But a lot of people don't. So it's really important to know that mission statement. And, you know, I actually have it on my whiteboard, and it's just kind of something that I will look at. If there's a bad day or a bad call or a no or whatever else, you think, do you know what? The mission statement of what we're a part of is quite incredible. So you really need to kind of know that and be aware of that. That's quite important as well. Hope you all got that down. So I'm going to move on. I can come back to that at the end if you didn't. Obviously, it talked about a little bit about the business, the assets, the turnover, the countries. Amazing graph. I think that's fabulous. That shows that we haven't dipped in 37 years, nearly. And then obviously it went through the UK a little bit. And then obviously it talks about the other slots. So then it goes through the products, which, just to completely brief you on, we can see. The new one's very similar. That's why I'm going through this one a little bit quicker. It went through our advisory board. So again, this was something that was a little bit more used at the BP than maybe in a one-to-one. Went through the product approval, the 60-day money-back guarantee, that I think is really important to mention at a one-to-one, because I know when I was looking at the business as a business, I didn't want to get involved in something that I was going to be stuck with all these products. And I just had this vision of me going, oh my God, what am I going to do if it doesn't work? And for me, that was kind of a massive thing that shows you that you're not going to get that situation, because the company are offering that amazing money back guarantee. Obviously, it gives you your seals of approval. So again, depending on who you're sitting down with at a one-to-one, you can touch on the fact that they've got these different things here. Obviously it went through our product range, so again it's great to show what we've done and what we can go through. Who buys them? So customers, it touches on the box. I'll come on to that again in a second, because that's on the new one as well, which is a great thing. And then obviously it went through the income a little bit, the marketplace, and then it was a case of finding customers. Finding customers gets you a little bit of money, and then looking at the team building and the fact that it gets you a little bit more if you build your team. And then again, you expand your power of thinking, do a little bit more. Realty income, which I'll come on to in a second and explain, because I don't think some people understand what that is still. If we're building a team, it's important to know that we understand what that means. Income potential, so depending on where that person might want to get to in the business, it shows them how much they can earn. And then again, you've got car plan, you've got global travel, and you've got chairman's bonus. And then this is quite a long one at the BP that you'll notice if you've been there. It goes through building your team, Again, that's the cycle, which shows you at the end what we do. A lot more simple, I think, rather than too much kind of jargon in there. Again, people's testimonials, always good for people to see what they, what other people have said about the business. And then again, it always ends, which is great, with going back to them and them looking at why they are looking at the business, why they want to Skype with you, why they've met you for a coffee, or why they are, intrigued maybe by what they see you do. Again, you do the whole kind of, turn it back on them and say, will it work? Yes, it will, if you're willing to do all of these things. Don't worry if you're missing these, guys. I'll put them all up for you so you can have a look if you want to. And then it literally went through next steps, what they need to do. And then again, it ends on the reason they're looking at it. So it keeps going back to the fact of why they're sitting there looking at the business. So that was that one. And then the most recent one, which I think who's that? Where can I download it? It's all on Forever Knowledge. Sorry, that just popped up because I had it on the full screen. Forever Knowledge. But what I will do, I will put these on to the team page. But what I would say, as I mentioned before, Katie, is probably use the one that I'm going to go through a little bit more in detail in a minute, because that's the one that I think we need to be using, which I'll show you in a second. This was the you're welcome. This was the other one, very, very quickly. This just basically went through a little bit more of the one-to-one type stuff. So if you're sat down with somebody over a coffee, this is the one that I have been using for the past 3-4 months now. And I know there's a few people that, I think, Mandy, you've used a couple of these as well, haven't you, on one-to-ones, which is great. I often start this one by saying I know the guy in the picture, not know him personally, but, it's not like these people are random people. They're real people. Changed a little bit here from you can't change your thinking, so we've changed a little bit from here. This also follows the same tone as the black and white business brochure that you can get, obviously, which you can buy on Forever Living under literature. I always make sure I have business brochures in stock, because at the end of the one-to-one, if that person is obviously like, oh my God, bring it on, let's do it, I'm like, great. If they're thinking about it, or they want to show their partner, or they want a few hours to kind of digest the information, I will always send them away with a business brochure. So that works quite well with this one. But the only thing about this is, and you'll see in a second, if you're new to the business, I think it can be a little bit confusing if you join the business and again, you're maybe wanting to recruit a little bit quicker than sort of maybe waiting, 3 months, 4 months into just sort of after retailing. So again, it touches on, why they're looking at it, a little bit different. It goes through the business, which is a great slide that talks about the money, and obviously touches on the DSA and the investors in people, which I'll go through again in a second. The UK, obviously it's got our head office on there, which I think is an amazing thing to show when you're showing someone the business. That's not a little room in a pokey office, that's our head office, bought with cash outright. So that's a huge thing to touch on with the business. Again, it shows our growth, which is massive. And then it talks about the reasons why we're so successful. And this is a really big thing in terms of touching on, why we're successful. We're not just lucky. We have 3 things that make us incredible. Again, don't worry about this, guys. I'm rushing through these a little bit because I want to talk about the main one in more detail. So I can go through these more personally with you guys if you want me to. It talks about the benefits of obviously the products and what we do and what we have to offer in terms of the products. Again, you've got all the seals of approval at the bottom with the guarantee on there as well. And again, it went back to using the advisory board, which I think is a really big thing in terms of a one-to-one, because you're not just going, yeah, we do great products. You've got people who have to test these products and make sure. And the fact that you've got a GP, a nutritionist and a vet that work alongside Forever, for me, just says it all in a one-to-one. So that's a massive area to really make reference to when you're doing a one-to-one. I'm going to go through all of this to make sure you all understand how to explain these areas in a second. Obviously, it went through our product range again, so it shows the kind of mentality of what it is that we've got, what we do, what we can offer them, because they might look at one area if they're sporty. They might be a bigger person who joins the business. Ideally, to do a C9 in the fit programs and then focuses their business on the weight management side, potentially. So it's looking at what they can do with the business. number one product in the picture, really important. Obviously, we're talking about being the best at what we do, and that's our best selling product is the Forever Yellow Aloe Vera Gel. Again, it touched on team marketing a little bit more, which I always found great as part of a one-to-one, because it goes through the fact that we've got all these positives that a lot of people in a JOB don't have. So that's a really big area to touch on team marketing as well, where you're doing a one-to-one, what we can offer that they probably don't get in their job. The benefits of team marketing. So again, why it's great to be in Forever, not just team marketing in general, but what Forever team marketing has to offer. So again, I'll go through these in more detail in a second. And then what it did is it broke down what it is that they would have to do if they joined the business. This is where I think people got a little bit confused. And I've spoken to people recently who, this is the most modern presentation, as I said, well, it was. The most modern presentation, but some people were avoiding using it because of the next couple of slides, which obviously is a shame because we need to be so competent in explaining what it is that we're showing somebody. So this was pretty obvious. We get customers, we find 5 key people, and then we coach them. Simple, and it works. Here was where we were getting a little bit confused, and I know that some people in the team have tried to explain this and thought, oh God, I got myself confused. And it can be confusing because not only might you be nervous and trying to get it right when you're showing someone the business, but you're looking at numbers and figures and percentages and, you know, how many customers, and then it goes 35, and then you're kind of going, well, actually you're at 30%, but you can make an extra 5, and you could get 48, but you've got to be a manager. And I think it's a great slideshow, again, if you can explain it and you know what you're talking about, but I found it's confused some of the team. So I just want to kind of show you a little bit of where we were and then where we are now. Then it went through royalty income. So again, it shows the amount, and then it went up. But again, these have confused people when they've tried to explain it, and it needs to be as simple as possible. Chairman's bonus is there again, which we know is amazing. Car plan or earned incentive is there. Global travel is there again. And then what was great is we added they added this kind of area to it, which was great about the training and support, which was fab to show that you're in business for yourself, but never by yourself. So I think that's a really big thing, again, to mention the fact that they've got training support and they've got, you know, training seminars and events available to them. So they're in business, you know, for themselves, being their own boss, but they're not on their own, which I think is quite important in a one-to-one as well. There's normally a point in your one-to-one when your prospect will go, flipping heck, it sounds a bit too good to be true, which I think I get in nearly every one of my one-to-ones, probably because I'm so excited as well. They can't quite believe that I love what I do so much. So that's quite a big thing. So again, touching on the reality, a little bit like before, of the whole Forever works for you, but they've adapted the word in here. And then obviously we had the consider this, where they're in one of 3 places. Are they a yes? Are they a no? Are they a maybe? Which was great, but the only thing I found was, for me personally, when it got to here, it was a case of, right, they want to do it, come to a BP. Personally, I think if they want to do it at this point of the presentation, get their NDP and get them started, because that business presentation might be another week and they might be dead excited. I tend to get someone joining with an NDP, and then I will take them to the BP the following week to give them that buzz and that kickstart to start working towards their 4cc. So again, you know, feel free to use this one. It's not the most recent, but this one and the next one that I'm going to show you are the 2 that I think that we should be using. But again, if you're going to use this one, you need to make sure that you understand all the figures and you're confident in talking about this, and not just kind of letting them roll off for a week and maybe not come back to you and change their mind. So it's kind of quite important to know, you know, it's quite a big thing, a one-to-one. If you get it right, it's massive. If you get it wrong, you could lose somebody who could potentially have been a great prospect, a great team member in your business, and somebody who could have, you know, totally flown it forever. And then again, it ends on the next step. So you basically say, right, where are you at? What do you want to do with everything that I've shown you so far? Do you see something, you know, in it for you? So that was kind of the most recent ones. I'm not sure where you put that, Mandy. Me too, totally agree. Only because I had that off the screen. So what were you agreeing with then, hun? What did I say? Just so I know where we're at. What did I say on that slideshow that you agreed with? No, don't worry. Don't worry. I just couldn't see it on the screen, so don't worry. Probably because I know you've been doing quite a lot of one-to-ones, so it's probably something that you thought, oh yeah, I've been doing that, so that's fine. And then this one, guys, which I imagine is the first time you've seen this, because it's, well, it might not be if you've been to the BP. The first time I saw it was at the BP. No, actually, where did I see it? It was online. I think it was on the manager page about being released. It might have been on the A team. And then it was at our BP last week. This week. This is really, really interesting, actually, because this has got some great things in, but it also has things that you might want to add to make your one-to-one as strong as possible. And I'm going to go through this. Obviously, I'm not going to do it as if I'm doing a one-to-one because it'll take another hour and we're already sort of over 8:30. But I just want to touch on areas that you might want to talk about certain things on those certain slides, if that makes sense. So I can't actually see the chat box because I've had to make this full screen for me to be able to move it along. So I need to figure out how to do both, which I will do. But just be aware, guys, that if you comment, I might not see it, okay? So I'm just going to go through a few notes on here. So again, you've got, if you can't change your life, if you don't change your thinking. Now, you might want to make some notes on this bit, guys, in terms of how you conduct yourself in a one-to-one. So I'm just having a drink. Oh. With me. Oh. Sorry. Right, there we go. We got there. So yeah, so at this point you've met somebody, and I'm just going to go through really, really simply a couple of tips and tricks of when you're doing a one-to-one. So, for example, number one, obviously, is get there early. There's nothing worse than turning up when your prospect is kind of already sat there with a drink. You want to get to your one-to-ones about half an hour early. Get yourself, calm. I always get there, put a bit of lippy on, brush my hair, get myself all sorted and get myself a drink. And I'm normally there doing a bit of work in my diary or maybe messaging the odd person on Facebook or whatever, because when they turn up, they need to see that you look professional, okay? So, turning up, sort of, obviously sometimes you're late and you can't help it, but ideally you really need to be at a one-to-one before your prospect arrives, okay? And then what I would say is have your laptop or your computer or whatever you choose, you need to have it out in front of you with this on the screen. So literally they turn up and they know what it is that they've come to do. They know they've come to look at the business. And even though you've not started the presentation yet, what I do is I say, let me get you a drink. And then while I'm getting them the drink, I give them a product brochure, not a business brochure, not at this point. I give them a product brochure and I say, there's some of the amazing stuff that we do in this business. Have a little look and I'll get you a coffee or whatever you want. And then at this point, you've got this on the screen, which has already got their attention. So they're already going, oh, what's that? Can't change your life, don't you? Oh, forever. Oh, that was quite a nice place. You've already got them visually stimulated. And that's why I always say this is a visual business. You need to be really looking at it as a business, not just, oh, I'm going to meet someone for half an hour and tell them a little bit about what I do. You need to make your one-to-ones amazing because that's what's going to grow your business. The more great one-to-ones you have, the more great people you get. And then obviously, the more you build your income, your CCs, and obviously you work your way up the marketing plan. Basically on this page, I would just say very, very briefly, I would just say thank you very much for meeting me. I'm going to take you through a little bit about the business today. It's a presentation that tells you a bit more about who we are and what we do. And then I would simply, oh, hang on, someone's unmuted themselves. Let me just mute them because it's quite noisy at this end. Who's that? I'm just going to mute Becky. There we go. So yeah, what I would do is I would just say, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it. Obviously, it depends on who it is that you're speaking to. If it's a good friend, you might have a little bit of a chat. If it's someone that's completely cold market, and I would say get as much experience, guys, as you possibly can in doing one-to-ones with people that you don't know. I know that sounds strange, but that's going to absolutely grow you when you're actually sitting down with someone you don't know, because you're not showing the business to a mate or a friend or someone that you go, yeah, I like do this for everything. You're actually sitting there, and for me, doing a lot of cold market one-to-ones grew me as a person very quickly, and it made me learn a lot more about the business as well. I would always say on this point, I would say that's quite a nice building, isn't it? And I always say, again, I haven't done this one before. This is what I would say. I would say that's our head office in Warwick. And I wouldn't do this as a business spiel. I would do this as a conversation. I would say, yeah, have you been to Warwick? And I'd have a little bit of a conversation about it. And I'd say, our head offices all around the world are amazing. That we bought that one for cash. We don't owe anybody any money. We're cash rich and we're debt free. So you need to have a little bit of background on the business rather than just sitting down and start clicking your slides. Okay, so Longbridge Manor in Warwick, you might want to write these little bits and pieces down. It's a grade 2 listed building. You might want to say, we bought that outright with cash. We're cash rich and we're debt free as a company, and we don't owe anybody a penny. That's quite a big starting block before you even start talking about the business. Okay, this is the one, as I say, that you'll see used at your BPs, but I actually have been through it today and I actually quite like this. So I'm going to do this in my next one-to-one and see what response I get. So, feel free to share, because you might want to use the other one instead. So I'd say, like I say, this one or the one before. Then I would just say here, right, I'm going to take you through, feel free to ask any questions, but obviously you can ask quite a lot at the end of the presentation, but let me show you a little bit about what we do and what's on offer for you. And then on this page, you have to make it really personal to them. Okay, so rather than just saying, and I learned this quite quickly because I was doing this wrong, I was kind of going, oh, people are working longer, there's longer commutes, there's more cars on the road, people get made redundant, and obviously, the pensions aren't great. So I touched on the general areas on the screen, but what I didn't do is kind of drop it into my prospects and say, do you know what, you're obviously looking at this business today. You've obviously met me for a coffee because there's something that doesn't quite sit right in your life at the moment. It could be that maybe you're working longer. It could be that maybe your commute is more of a pain than it used to be. Might not be that your kind of drive to work is longer, but because there's more traffic, it's a nightmare, isn't it? You need to make it business-like, but at the same time, you need to make it very personal, because remember, I think, I don't know how many of you on this training tonight or in the team at the moment. I know a few of you will remember that I did the training a while ago and said, what makes somebody join you? What makes someone look at it? What was it? What makes someone like the one-to-one or join you after a one-to-one? And it was a case of, was it the business? Was it the products? Was it this, that, and the other? Or was it the person who does the one-to-one and does the presentation? And if you remember, it was the person that does the presentation. So it goes back to what I say, guys, which you all know, people buy people. Again, if you know, for example, that person sitting at your table over the coffee has been made redundant, you absolutely need to make that personal and say, well, obviously you've been made redundant, or, you're looking to be made redundant. So obviously this is an area for you, which might be why you're looking at this business, because a big challenge in your life right now is kind of, the fact that you've got lack of job security. Blah, blah, blah. So again, you can see where I'm going with this, guys. Pension options, you'd obviously, if you're sat with an older person, Brenda, who joined the team last week, we've got our first planning meeting on Tuesday. She retired and then she basically started working again because she got bored. But then she's like, I want something to do in my retirement. I want a better pension, but I'm in a call centre and I absolutely hate it. Met her for a coffee and a one-to-one over the fact that she saw my flyer in a shop, and she's basically joined an NDP, and we've got a planning meeting on Tuesday. So for me, that was an area that I spoke to her about in a one-to-one, because I knew why she contacted me through my flyer. So you have to be realistic and think about that person. Then a really great thing, a little bit like the old one at the BP, is to touch on their needs. So again, you might kind of carry on with why they are looking at the business. So it might be, again, making it specific for them. So for me, I always touch on myself a little bit in this area, because I always try and share my story as well as look at what they want. And I say, you might be looking at it for lifestyle, and I don't go through every single one because they can read the screen. I just talk about these 5 areas, and then I will maybe mention 1 or 2 out of it. And then what I sometimes would say on the old slideshow, which would apply to this, is I would say, are any of those kind of jumping out to you? And they might go, oh, God, you know what? I should be my own boss. Or, do you know what? I never have time for myself. Or, do you know what? I just never have any money left at the end of the month. So you know straight away, you're like, bingo, you know why they're looking at the business. You know what you can offer them that they want. Got to make it personal. And always, always, always make sure on this slideshow, and again, it's the same with the BP when I present it, I always make sure that I say this before I move on to the next slideshow. I would always say, whatever it is that you're looking at this business for, you know, it's obviously, you know, you're wanting to do it because you want peace of mind. We all want peace of mind. And because that implants in their mind, flipping out, this business could actually give me something that I don't have, and that my job, you know, 9 times out of 10 is not going to give me. And again, you know, if you've got someone looking at the business who's stressed to hell, it could be quite simply, yeah, they've got loads of money, but they don't have a healthy life, and they don't see their family or their children. So they could massively fall into this bracket. So again, you've got to make it specific for what they're looking at the business for. What I love about the new one is they brought back the mission statement, which I think is just absolutely amazing. I can't wait to do a one-to-one and go, Flippinette, do you have these words in your mission statement? You know, for example, she's not on tonight, but, you know, Kat, who works in Morrison's, is going through a tough time at the moment, and they don't treat you very well in retail, as a lot of us know. And I mentioned this to her at the BP the other night, and we went to the BP in Sale, me, Kat, and Deb, and me and Kat were just saying, and I just said to her, do you know what, it's mad, and she was just like, don't get any of that. She's like, they don't care, you have a number. And that's the thing, and if you're sat down with somebody and you're showing them the business, what a massive thing to be able to say that this guy here, and always mention this guy. Don't just go, oh yeah, this is great, yeah, we do that, and that, and then move on. You need to mention this gentleman. This guy is giving you the life of your dreams if you want it. You have to be so passionate about what you're sharing. This gentleman here on the screen, Mr. Rex Morn, it's what I always say, Mr. Rex Morn, he founded the company in 1978 in the USA. What I say on this slide as well, I say he's in his 80s and he's still the chairman today. And I often say, can you say that in your organisation or in your job, the person who founded it is still the head of it today? And they go, oh, God knows, been about 10 bosses in the last 4 years that I've been there. So again, you're showing them what Forever is. You're showing them it's an amazing mission statement. You're showing them it's headed up by an incredible guy. And you're showing them that he's still there today. And what he's done now is he's handed it down to his son. So you're saying it's got family values. So don't just go read, click. You need to have that personal conversation with that person. And then I say, you know what, and not only is this guy incredible, but he's made us the world brand leader. We are the best at what we do. There's nobody out there like us. You know, you guys know when I speak to you, and those of you who've had one-to-one, the passion that I've got, and that's why people join my team. If I get enough one-to-ones, yeah, not everyone does because it's life, but I generally won't do lots and lots and lots of one-to-ones and not get any recruits from it because of the way that I do the one-to-ones and what I make sure that I talk about and the way that I deliver them. And this has took practice. I've practiced these one-to-ones myself in the mirror, which might sound ridiculous, but if it makes me better at my business, then I'm going to do it. So that's a really big area. Make sure you touch on him. Obviously, again, this says it all, but don't just go read, which I've seen someone do, and it was a bit shocking, to be honest, and it mortified me, and it wasn't somebody in this team, but I saw someone deliver a one-to-one, and I thought, there's no personality in that whatsoever. So again, you need to be saying, you know, look how big we are, 150 countries, 150 plus. You need to say here, you need to know your figures. So I say here, we're actually in 158, and I say, and that's growing all the time. So don't just go, we're in 150 countries plus around the world. We've got over 2.6 billion. You need to kind of touch on these in an area in a way that you know what you're talking about. So we're in 158, and I say we are growing all the time. And I also say when we go into a country, we don't leave there. And the other thing I say on this area before I move on to here is I just say that means we've been approved by over 150 governments, which is massive. So before we can go into a country, you can't just go in there. We have to be approved, the business, the products, the business model, the company, everything we stand for has to be approved before we can even go into a country. And we're in 158 of those in 37 years. That's incredible. Do you know what I mean? You've got to know a little bit of background. Obviously, turnover is massive. You can read the figures there. That's fine. What I do say, which again I know from the BP, which is why I hope you all get in. The reason that I know all of this is because I attend my BP, which is why it's so important to get to your BPs and company events. By 2016, we're predicted to be at 3 billion. You need to be saying things like that so they can see that there is growth available in the company. You know, they're not just joining a company that's going to sit on the same place. We're in 2015 now. By the end of next year, we're looking to be up by another 0.4 billion. So we're looking at being at 3 billion. Massive reason for them to go, wow, flipping out, they're not going anywhere. Obviously, you've mentioned this before because you've mentioned Rex Morn. So you kind of go, look, it's an experienced senior management team. You know, the same people in place today as they were nearly 37 years ago, which is exactly what I said before. So again, you're reiterating your kind of comments on the one-to-one. And then obviously you can mention this and say, as I mentioned before, with our amazing head office in Warwick at Longbridge Manor, we're cash rich and we're debt free. We don't owe anybody a penny. And I think if you looked at a lot of companies nowadays with the recession and the economy, a lot of companies owe a lot of money, you know, to other companies, and we don't. And then here is where I tend to say we really are the best kept secret. You know, to be so amazing in so many areas, and yet you could walk down the street and there's a lot of people who've never heard of us. So again, you're instilling the faith that if they have heard of us, they're not going, oh well, you're going to get saturated. Everyone's doing forever, which is complete and utter rubbish. So again, you need to know a little bit of background on be able to talk about business and the company. Obviously, here speaks for itself. Totally speaks for itself. You don't need to have a lot on there. I tend to say at this point, I say, look at that. I go, isn't that amazing? And I have them doing a bit of the nodding and going, wow, yeah. And I say, do you know what? I don't know any companies that do that. Do you know any companies that in 37 years, you know, their graph has only gone in one direction? And then what I tend to say as well is I say here, you know, in this sort of area of you know, these years was where the recession was hitting and the economy, and there was loads of job losses. And they say, you know, we grew in those tough years in the UK. We grew, and we grew in all the countries that we were in. So you've just got to have that passion behind these kind of slides and talk about it like you know, every time I do a one-to-one, I'm blown away. So if you've got that, you're going to get your team building. Obviously, you've got the UK, so you've kind of mentioned that. Again, you're just reiterating. They've seen that on the screen. You're looking at them now and you're saying to them, this is what is available to you. So if you decide to sort of go ahead with this business, this is what you've got. That's our head office. Again, you've mentioned it, Longbridge Manor, 1993. And in excess of 75 million pounds turnover. Now, I don't know if any of you have done enough one-to-ones recently to use the one before this, the slightly more recent one, but this said 50 million. And that's only about 4 months old. 75. That's another 25 million pounds. We are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's one thing that jumps out at me straight away, because I've done so many one-to-ones that I knew 50 million, 50 was that number there. So not that you need to know that in terms to say to your prospect, but you need to understand for yourself how much we've grown. It's incredible. And this is a really, really important thing to mention. Again, to touch on what we are here and what we do. You have got the fact that we're investors in people. So you've got the fact to say, look, you know, that's an accolade where companies are recognised for their training and support programs. And again, the fact that you're in a business and it's your own business and we've got this accolade is amazing. It's your business and you're your own boss, but you've got so much training and support from this company to help you to build your business that we've been awarded by the Investors in People Gold Award. Now, we did get another award, but I'll speak to you guys about that personally because I don't want to confuse you. You don't have to mention it at the moment because that's obviously all that's stated on this new slideshow. So you mentioned that. And then DSA, anyone who doesn't know, it stands for Direct Selling Association. And what I always say here is I say personally, which works very, very well, is I say, considering we are a member of the DSA, we don't actually sell. This business works on recommendation. And then what I say is I've been with the company for 12 months and I can say hand on heart that I've never sold a single product. I say I use them and I recommend them because I have an incredible passion for them. So even though we don't sell, we're a part of the DSA. Massive. Shows that we're ethical, shows that we're, recognised. And also on this bit as well, guys, make sure you say that our managing director in the UK, Mr. Bob Parker, sits on the board of the DSA. That's a massive accolade to us as a company as well. So Bob Parker, the managing director, he's actually the managing director of UK and Ireland, if you want to say that, but he sits on the board of the DSA. So that's a really big thing to say as well. Okay, and then obviously, it might be a case of take a little moment and say, oh, you're excited. This is sometimes where I say, it's exciting, isn't it? So you want that like nodding, You want them to be kind of going, oh, tell me more. But you need to have made it so exciting at this point that they want to know more because it is quite a long presentation. You need them to not get bored. You need to keep them, then kind of, keep their attention. And then you say, right, let me tell you a little bit about my products now, about what we do and what we've got to offer. And you say, obviously, this is our amazing product. It's our number one selling product. So I often touch on this. Obviously, they might at this point know that we're aloe vera. If they don't, then obviously you're going to touch on this a little bit and say, we're aloe vera, that's what we do. Our products are aloe vera based. You've only got to touch on it on this page, but it's important to just mention that that's our number one selling product. And then obviously I mentioned to Becky today, I think in our planning meeting, that it's never a bad idea to take some products along to your one-to-one. I tend to be honest. Even I used to take my whole NDP when I was really kind of just starting out, but now that I'm sort of manager, I'll just take a few in my handbag because I've got the confidence behind my year in the business to not have to take all the products. But if you're quite new and you're learning and you need something that you want to be able to hold and pass to them and talk about, then just take take a bottle of aloe vera gel, not for them to drink. But Jane Leach said something a while ago, and I think it's really true. When you pass something to somebody and they hold it, they sort of get a feeling for it. And as cheesy as that sounds, I actually tried that at the beginning of my journey, and I can't even explain how much it works. It's weird. And even Becky today said to me, oh, you brought your NDP to our one-to-one. You brought a big box of products. And I said, yeah, I did. And I remember handing her like the aloe gel and just kind of saying, oh, that's our propolis cream. And they weren't open. She didn't try them, but I just touched on the fact of here's a product, hold that one. That's what this does. So feel free to do that as well. But on this slide, you're just saying our products. Let me tell you more. Number one product, we're aloe vera. Okay. And then here, we're probably going to run, guys, a little bit later, but I hope this is helping you. So I'm going to keep going, probably just till about 9:30. I hope that's okay, about another 25 minutes or so. Here I would touch on these areas in a little bit of detail. Okay, now you might want to make a few notes on this because it's important that, again, you don't just go, we do this, we do this, we do this, and read it. You need to have a little bit of background on each area here so you sound like you know the business. Okay, which you should anyway. So you say here, we're the world's number one grower. I say manufacturer and producer of aloe vera. So you need to make sure that you are, really kind of stating how great we are at what we do. We're the world's number one grower, producer, and manufacturer of aloe vera. And then what I also say is we own more than half of the world's aloe vera plantations. So we're not like, no disrespect, but we're not like your Juice Plus, your Herbalife. We've got something special that isn't out there. We own more than half of the world's aloe vera plantations, the world's, not the UK's. Do you know what I mean? So stress how big we are at what we do. What I also say here, just for you to be aware of as well, you might want to make a note on this, as I say, we're also the largest beekeepers in the world, and we've got some fabulous bee products as well. Some of you might not know that. If you didn't, please write it down. Please be aware of that. So not only are we the world's #1 grower of aloe, we're also the world's largest beekeepers, and we've got amazing bee products. So touch on what we do and how it differs. Then when you get to this one, and this is important, guys, please write this down. No insecticides, pesticides, or fertilizers are used on the crops, okay? On the crops or on the plants while they're growing. They're not used in the products. Don't say that. It's been kind of mentioned quite a few times recently. We need to say that they're not used on the crops or the harvest or the plants or whatever you want to say. And what I say here is I say, and this is important, we also own the fields around our aloe so that they can't be contaminated by, farmers or the likes of, people like that. That's important because, again, you're not just saying we're the world's #1 grower of aloe and beekeepers and all the rest of it, but you're saying not only that, we actually don't use any of this, which a lot of companies sadly do on their crops or things like that they have to distribute, but also we own the crop, we own the fields around them, so that we've got no kind of like contamination. That again shows a massive company. It shows the money that we've got that we're able to do that. Hand harvested. What I just say here is I say we own the whole process from growing the aloe vera right the way through to getting it into the customer's hands. Not many companies can say that they own the whole process. Often it's a factory passed to a manufacturer, passed to somebody else, and then when it gets to the UK, it's been through about 8 or 9 or 10 different hands. We own the whole process. That's a huge reason for someone to be looking at it as a business, because it's so ethical to know what goes in our products. Then hand filleted inner leaf gel. We should know that by now anyway. Quite simply, we only use the inner leaf of the aloe vera plant. We don't use the green part. Important to mention here, the green part or the outer leaf can often contain toxins, which is why, obviously, we are so kind of passionate about the fact that we have the purest form, because we don't have any toxins or anything that's bad in our products, which a lot of companies sadly do. And obviously, I don't need to mention this, but for example, if you guys go to Holland & Barrett or anywhere like that, if you look at what's in their products, it's pretty shocking. So you need to have complete faith in our business as well and our products. So hand filleted inner leaf gel. And then what I also say is I say the green part of the plant we also put back into the soil and use it as a fertilizer. So it's showing how natural and pure our process is, rather than just saying, yeah, we use inner leaf gel, it's the best part. You've got to be quite, clued up on what we do with the rest of the products and why we don't use the outer leaf. Here, quite simply, we mentioned the patented stabilisation process. Really, 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 really important here to say, by patented, that's obviously meaning that we've got a process that nobody in the world can ever copy. That's huge. That was massive for me again when I looked at it as a business and I had no other income, because I was making this a full-time income. I needed to know that another company wasn't going to come along in 6 months and do what we do. They won't. They never will. They're not allowed. Okay, so Rexmoorn patented our process so they can't do what we do. Okay, and then here, where I say it goes through a stabilisation process, what you need to say is that we cold press our aloe. This is really important, guys. We cold press, which means, again, that I always say this as an example, so so feel free to use it. If we, for example, cook a roast on a Sunday dinner, and we boil our carrots and we overboil them and we, sort of steam them, they go soft and we lose a lot of the nutrients and we lose a lot of the goodness. So I use that as an example, and I say what we do with our aloe here at Forever Living Products is that we actually use a cold process which locks in all the nutrients, which means that we get a superior quality product. Okay, so I hope that's helped a little bit on that slide. Again, guys, I'm not trying to patronize any of you who might know this, but it's really important that you've got the right information about it rather than just reading from the slides, because again, people will join you through your kind of excitement and passion, not just because the slideshow is great, which it is. Here, quite simply, I touch on these people. I say not only that, there's more. So I get excited at this point and I go, these 4 people are incredible. And you might notice, guys, there's been another one added, which is why this is the slideshow that I want to use from now on, because the other ones don't have Louise Riley on it. So what I say is, okay, say quite simply, I say we've got 4 people on what we call our professional advisory board at Forever, who are all there to kind of like, you know, lead us and help us to build our businesses, because we're not doctors. I always say I knew nothing about aloe vera apart from the fact that I put it on my skin when I get burnt in the sun. And a year on, I know a lot due to these people. Now, obviously, we can't, you guys have seen that I posted it on the team page. We can't email them anymore and ask them questions, which, yes, is a real shame. But it's just because we've got so big and it's just kind of, you know, you've got to be very careful with compliance and politics now. It's a shame. But it doesn't matter, because what you're saying in your one-to-one is that you've got these people to help us. They do trainings up and down the country, which we can attend. It's just amazing that we've got this at our fingertips, because, you know, you don't need to be an expert on aloe to get involved in Forever. You just need to have a passion and want to have a, you know, big goals and big dreams and want to help people succeed. And then you've got these 4 amazing people that will help you do that. So you need to really kind of stress how amazing, because I don't know any other company out there that has people like this to help you, especially not when it's your own business. It just doesn't happen. So you mentioned Dr. Peter Atherton. A couple of quick notes on these, mainly on this guy, really. Dr. Peter Atherton, I know that me and Deb and who else? Yeah, me and Deb went to an aloe training. And also Becky and Hayley went to one in Warwick last week, and Becky was saying today how amazing it was. And guys, if you've not attended the trainings, you need to get on them. I know for a fact that I need to do more. But where you can attend them, please have a look on Forever Knowledge and get on these trainings, because they're absolutely amazing. And they just give you more faith and passion in the business and the products. So Dr. Peter Atherton, he was a GP for years. They've all got letters after their name, apart from obviously Louise Riley, so it shows how amazing they are. And I'll quite simply say, Dr. Peter Atherton was a GP for many, many years. And if you want to tell this story, guys, please feel free. I often tell this because it breaks the ice a little bit, because they're normally at this point going, oh my God, who are these people? I say they're all distributors within Forever, so they're all doing exactly what I'm doing, but they all started many years ago, and now they obviously, you know, teach people about our product range. But what I say about Dr. Peter Atherton is that he was a GP, and about 20 years ago, and this is a true story as well, you might have heard this one, Becky, at the training actually. About 20 years ago, a patient went into his surgery and they gave him a leaflet, a flyer about Forever aloe vera, and they gave him a tube of propolis cream. And he was a bit like, oh, what's this? And this patient said to him, I know you're a doctor, but you need to try this propolis cream because it's amazing for eczema and blah, blah, blah. And they were a distributor for Forever. And Peter will tell you in his own words, he said, oh, yeah, thanks for that. When the patient went out the surgery, out of his office, he actually put the propolis cream and the flyer in the bin. Long story short, the patient came back and XYZ, and basically, in the end, he was like, oh, fair enough, I'll do it. He used it on a skin condition. He was blown away by the results. And then obviously, you know, down the line, a little bit further down the line, he used more products and he ended up becoming a distributor for Forever. And then he retired a few years ago from being a GP, and he now obviously lectures all over the world for Forever. So quite amazing. No worries, Katie. I'm recording it, hun, so you can catch the rest of it. I just want to make sure that I make this really thorough, so you guys have got this to run with in your one-to-ones. So I'll keep recording it, and then you can catch the end. So thank you very much, hun. I'll speak to you soon. Where was I? Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, and just so you guys know, the lady who actually took him the aloe propolis cream in was Jane Leach. So pretty amazing. I couldn't believe it when I heard that. I was like, oh my God. So yeah, great story. Again, maybe tell a prospect and go, this guy was skeptical, and now he's left being a doctor to travel the world lecturing about our aloe, and he's on our advisory board. I mean, if that doesn't say what a company we are, I don't know what is. Incredible. Dawn Parker, I tend to quite simply touch on the fact of the C9, the fit programs. I touch on the fact that we've got amazing cleanses, they're not diets. David Urch, is a vet. And I say about David, I say he's still a practicing vet today, and he uses our products in his surgery, and he will always recommend our products before he will turn to other medicine for his animals. Which again, what does that say? I mean, straight away, what an incredible thing to be able to say about our products for animals. And I don't know, two more quick tips on David for you guys if you want them. David also was on the equestrian team at the Beijing Olympics, looking after all the horses, and also was using our aloe to treat the horses for the Beijing Olympics. Forever aloe vera. Again, quite incredible tip. This is why I need to attend the events, guys. This is what I learn, and I'm passing it all down. But please, please, please get to the trainings and events, because you learn so much. And the other thing about David that you guys might not know, in the brochure or on your online shop, you'll notice that we do the water randomly. I've never actually bought the bottles of water, because I just think, I just tend to drink tap water. But the bottles of water, David's actually got, he owns the, long story basically, but he owns where the water is. He owns that actual company that produces the water. So the water is provided by David's company and then put into Forever, the Cheddar Spring, I think it is. So that's a bit of an interesting tip. And then Louise Riley, obviously, new addition to the advisory board. I can't wait to attend actually some beauty trainings by her, which I want to get once the next couple of months. And that's basically skincare, cosmetics, and obviously all your sports products. So again, what a massive benefit for us to have somebody else that can look at the sports side of it. Now we're looking at getting involved in, the more gyms and personal trainers and blah blah blah. It's all there for you. Really, really stress things on that page, guys, and say, look, we've got to help us. How incredible! Where do you get your own business and you get people like that can help you? It's just mind blowing. Obviously, product approval, like I said before, we've touched on it in other things. You've mentioned that's number one product. Absolutely touch on this for a couple of minutes. Mention the money back guarantee. 60 days. I often say, you can't go into Boots or on the high street and they won't give you a refund after 60 days when you walk back in there with an empty packet. It doesn't happen. So that's a really, really big thing, and it instills quite a lot of, a faith into that kind of prospect of going, look, if you didn't like it, that you can return it or the customer can return it. What's important to remember, guys, just here very, very quickly, is that if someone doesn't like it, just want to touch on this very quickly. If someone doesn't like it or they return a product to you in your business, you don't lose out. But what that also means is that it doesn't mean that you get the money back. It means that you give the customer the money back. This is not for you to mention in your one-to-one, but I want to just make sure you guys are aware of this. It basically means that, say, for example, your customer goes, I didn't like the Forever Aloe Vera Gel, and they live 5 minutes down the road. You say that's a real shame, blah, blah, blah. You give them the money back, and then what you do is you speak to head office, and I think you send the bottle tops back, and then what they do is they send you out another new bottle of aloe vera gel or whatever product it is that you're returning. So you still give the customer their money back, but the company sends you a new product. So either way, you don't lose out because you get to resell it. But it's not the company giving you money back, okay? Which some people go, but it's actually better to get a product, because then that shows the company are so passionate and have so much faith in their products, because they're giving you the product because they know that we'll be able to sell it. And also, in case you want to know, we've got a 0.001% return rate in Forever. And I've never had one product returned in 12 months. And I know some people have had bits and bobs, but it's very, very rare to get returns because the products speak for themselves. Quickly wrapping this up, we've got this one, which is we're certified by the Aloe Science Council. We were the first company of its kind to be certified by the Aloe Science Council, which I think is quite incredible. Again, the amount of companies out there that do aloe, a lot of them you won't find that symbol on. And you'll get people go to look. Trust me, I looked, and it's not on many aloe vera products. Islamic, kosher, and halal. So again, the person that you're having a one-to-one with, they might be Muslim or whatever, it doesn't matter, but you can say to them, look, even if it's, doesn't affect you, you might find that if you decide to build your business or grow a team or, retail your products to different nationalities or whatever, you've got the kind of sales approval there where you can say, look, they are, fantastic products and they've all been tested and they all meet the demands and the approvals. So that's a big thing. I'm going to skip through these next few because they're quite obvious, really. Talk about the product range. You're just saying, look what we're in: health and wellness, fitness and weight management, beauty and cosmetics, animal and home, and then obviously you've got the amazing product packs. And this really, guys, just so you guys know, because this is new, product packs applies to the Vital 5, it applies to the C9, and it applies to the Fit as well. So you're basically saying that you're getting a pack in order to kind of, and obviously the put box as well, but that's more for us than customers, although some customers might buy a put box. All I say on that slide really is quite simply, look, we've got such a vast product range that there's something for everybody, whether or not you are a customer or a distributor. That's what I say. And then here, who buys them, I quite simply say exactly what it says. I would say everyone you know is a potential customer. And this is really nice because these are really, really normal pictures. There's no falseness about this. They're all, don't know if you guys know, but you might recognize a couple of them. They're all forever people. Not that they need to know that, but you just say, look, these are all people that maybe started out as customers and now a lot of them, well, actually they're all in the business. So I just say everyone you know. So some people in a one-to-one might go, oh, yeah, but I've got no one to sell to. Or, yeah, but nobody would buy them. I mean, how many times have you spoke to someone about the business and they've gone, nobody would buy. I'm not in sales. Blah, blah, blah. You get a lot of that. It's just about on this page really going, you know what, who do you care about is what I say. Who do you love and care about? Because it's health and wellness. Straight away, everyone you know is a customer. Would I use them myself? Exactly what I say here, exactly what I say at the BP. When I first joined, I asked myself the same question. I tend to tell my story a little bit here, and I say, well, actually, I did, because I came in. You might not have come in through the product, so again, you might need to tweak your story, but most of us, I think, have come in through some sort of product or a put box or something that we loved or that we saw that worked maybe for somebody else. And what's nice about this slideshow, again, is it goes back to showing them what they get in the box. So you'll say it, and this is really important to not just go, oh, I asked myself that question and here's other products and it's great and you get all that for 200 quid and then skip on. Again, you need to make it very, very personal. So I say, we've got all these products, for less than £200. Not only that, you get everything you need to get started. And some things that you might want to say quickly on this slide, guys, are it's your business in a box. It's a really good line to use. It is your professional shop window. Is another one. And then what I basically say is it's everything you need to start earning straight away. So you've got to be clever with your choice of words, and you've got to show them that they're not just getting a box of products and a bit of company bump. They're getting everything that they need to get moving. Okay, and then what I say here, this is important, please write this down because I use this quite a lot and it's very successful. I say 80% of Forever's revenue, 80% of Forever's revenue is generated on 20% of its products. So 80% of Forever's revenue is generated on 20% of its products. And then I say, and these are the 20 products that, and these are the products that you get in your box. So basically they're getting the best start to their business because they're getting everything that they need to start moving and start earning. And then I normally kind of close this slide by saying, I don't know where you could start a business for less than £200. I mean, gosh, if you're looking at franchises, you pay thousands of pounds and normally don't earn back for the first 12, 18 months. So you've got to be clever here. You've got to show them what they're actually getting is a, you're getting a life. Do you know what I mean? You're not just getting a few products. So think about that when you just touch on that one. Right, income opportunities. Obviously, at this point, I just say, I bet you all want to know how much, wait, I bet not all, because that's BP. I would say if it was a one-to-one, I bet you want to know how you earn money. That's what you're here for. That's what I'm here to show you. Okay. And then all I say on here, this is really important. Don't read this out. Don't read this out. Okay. Let them read it. And all you need to say on this slide, quite simply, is this company is really, really ethical. It basically is built on ethical practices. We're legitimate, we're ethical, we do everything right, but it's really important to understand that it is a business, and you do have to work to kind of make it successful. So what this is really saying is that you high earnings aren't achieved easily. You've got to work, but you don't need to read all that, because it can be a bit of like oh gosh, you're telling me I've got to do loads of work. We're not doing that, but we're saying because we are ethical, the business will give you everything that you want if you work at it. And then obviously you can say this little man here is our country manager for UK and Ireland, Bob Parker. And he's the guy that sits on the board of the Direct Selling Association. So you might want to say that as well. Skipping on. This basically just tells you really simply, you can see it, guys. I think this is a fab new thing that they've done, because it just lets you say, look, at this point they might be going, oh yeah, but I still don't think I can sell. One of them. I think it's about saying, look, you don't need to. Look at the marketplace. And what we say at the BP now is, if you look at the marketplace just for these 3 areas alone, do you think that there's kind of room for growth? Well, 100%, of course there is. So you've got a marketplace that's growing in every area. Touch on that. And then obviously this point again, it's normally, there's still always that niggle sometimes in a one-to-one, if especially if they're cold market and you're kind of going, oh yeah, I'll do this, join me, let me show you how great it is. And they're always thinking, oh, I'm not sure I could speak to people. I'm not sure I could sell. It's the one thing that seems to put people off. But this is where you just need to say, look, this is how simple it is. People at work, people at the gym, people at the school gates, people you care about, everyone you know is a potential customer. And all you do is you use the products and you recommend them. We don't sell, we just have a passion behind them. So you just reiterating that. And then these next few slides to kind of finish off this area before we go to the final part of it, guys. This is really been simplified, and I think this is a really good one. This is why I think maybe this is the one to use going forward. You just literally want to say here, this is how we make our money. So you say, there's you, quite simply, and you've got a few customers and you're just retailing to them. So you're just using the products, personal use, and then you're speaking to a few people about the benefits. Simple. Move on. 20 to 30 customers, and you say, do you know 20 to 30 people that could probably benefit from better health? Or, sometimes you might have mentioned before this, the drinking gel for IBS or whatever. So you might say, do you know anyone who's got IBS? Or have you got anyone who's got eczema? Or I don't just touch on the slide. I would make it a little bit personal and say, do you reckon 20 to 30 people that would benefit from a product I've mentioned so far? Of course they do. If they say no, they're probably just more nervous about it. But generally they're going to say, yeah, I think I do. And you would say to them, well, there you go. That's all you've got to do. You've got to recommend our products to 20 to 30 people. And obviously we know, if you've worked that out, that's about 4cc with a little bit of your personal product. So they're going to be getting the extra 5%, but you don't mention the CCs anymore at this point, which I think is good at the start. You're just simply saying 20 to 30 customers will get you £200 to £400 a month. And then I often say, sound good? And they go, yeah, because I wouldn't mind a bit of extra money. Brilliant. And then I say, however, if you want a little bit more money, then obviously this is where we kind of add the team building income. So there's you, there's your customers, quite simply, and then you start to build a team. So all you do is you've shared how great the products are, and then you would share the business opportunity, and you would basically tell them what it is that you're doing and see if they wanted to do it too. Simple. And then here you just say, this is how simple it is to build your team. And all you do is you talk about multiplying your time. There's you in the middle. Leave this for a second. You talk about you and you say, right, do you know 2 people who would like an extra income? And they probably say, well, yeah. And then, those people find 2 people and it just multiplies. So you just talk about multiplication of time. And you would just quite simply say, look, at this point, you're looking at having, sort of 16 team members. So, for example, 30 team members, which you're looking after 20 customers. 3 times 2 is 6. So you're looking after 600 customers, but you're not looking after 600 customers. You and your team are. you've still got just 20 to 30 customers. Okay, and that's where the income starts to grow, because you've got people doing exactly what you do that you get paid for. And that's where we would mention, we don't go through the marketing plan, we just say you could create a manager business at this point, which is where you can look to earn £800 to £2,000. And this is probably quite good for a lot of you guys now that are going for manager thinking, oh my God, it really is that simple, because this is how simple it is, guys. It really is. It's not a hard business. You just got to find enough people that don't mind looking after 30 people. That's it. And you can get to manager. So keep sharing the business. And this is why one-to-ones are important, because the more one-to-ones you have, the quicker you're going to build up your marketing plan and your business. Then you quite simply say the power of 5. All they're doing is you say, if you know 2 people who would like to earn extra income, do you think you know 5? We all know 5. Right, so you find 5. They find 5. Those 5 find 5. And all you're doing is you're multiplying your time again, which is giving you 780 team members, which is approximately 15,600 customers on this side that is looked after. And then what I often say, which again comes from the BP, is if you imagine that if you had £1 from every single one of those customers that you and your team are looking after, there's 15 grand a month. It's incredible. It just shows it in a very, very simple format. And that's why I think they've kind of mixed the fact that the BP and the one-to-one can work together now, which is great. Touching on royalty, just quickly, what time are we on? Just quickly touching on royalty, I just simply say here, there's also the option for you to earn a royalty income or to add to your pension. And then what I would say here is I would just say, basically, when you get to the manager position, as I just mentioned before, manager income, manager business, when you start to help other people get to manager, you get paid on every one of your managers. And what I say here is it's like having a #1 hit, whereas every time it's played, you make money. So every time that #1 hit single is played, the artist makes money. Every time you get someone to manager, you make extra money. And that's what we call royalty style income. Don't over confuse yourself. Don't ramble about it. Just make it really, really simple. Royalty style income. And then quite simply, I just say, as I mentioned before, we're in 158 countries at the moment, but we're growing all the time. There's you, started off in the UK, but if you want to build global, you can. You can build, national, international, and you can build global. So once you achieve manager, you can start building in all these countries, and it just gets you obviously more money and more income and the life you want. So you're just touching on that. And then here I just say very, very quickly, I just say, look at the income potential. I say, obviously, I've mentioned a little bit about manager, and then I just touch on these very simply, and I would just say senior manager is when you help 2 people get to where you are. Soaring is when you help 5 people get to where you are. Sapphire is 9, Diamond Sapphire is 17, and Diamond is 25. So I just say, depending on, what you want at the business, do you want 500 quid, which you might get to here if you want £1,000, but you might kind of get hooked. And I often say, like I have, so you might want to work your way up and build your income. And then obviously I say here, if it took you 5 years to get to soaring, for example, could you go to your boss and kind of ask him for a pay rise of 60k in the next 5 years? Often the answer is no. So you show him what's kind of possible with Forever, which is huge. Earned incentive, obviously I touch on this. Car plan is what we call it in the UK. It's actually been renamed, guys, so keep your eye out for this because it's going to be coming up quite soon. It's actually been renamed and it's actually now called Forever to Drive, which is just in the UK because obviously everyone in the UK seems to buy a car. You don't have to spend the money on a car. It's not a car that you get. It's money in your account that you can spend on what you want. But it's called Forever to Drive, or it has been called Car Plan because UK people spend it on a car. And all it is basically you say on this point, when you get to manager, lots of incentives are available to you, and this is one of them. So obviously you can get up to £6,300 paid per year to buy the car of your choice or to spend on mortgage or holidays or whatever. So you just want to say on this page, it's an incentive, and you're just really saying now, and there's more. And then I just say when you get to manager, you can also qualify for And then obviously just make this sound really amazing. On here, I would say that we go to 2 places. As I said, there's 2 places that are on offer to us every year if we build our business to that level. And I quite simply say this year, obviously, if you're doing a VP in the next few weeks or months or whatever, I say it's Singapore in April and it's Cancun in September in Mexico. So I just literally say you need to stay where they are. Doesn't matter if you're not going, doesn't matter if you're nowhere near qualifying, it's irrelevant. You need to say, can you see the kind of places that you can go to? This is what I was doing when I was going for manager. I was mentioning blooming Sardinia and Hawaii and getting so excited, even though I'd never been there and there was no chance of qualifying because I just joined the business. I was still getting excited and sharing what the business was offering, even though I hadn't achieved it yet myself. So you need to make sure that you're excited and you know the destination. So April is Singapore and September is Cancun. And then quite simply, I say this bit at the bottom, best luxury hotels, spending money. And then what I also say is a lot of people on these holidays come back with more money than they went away with, which is basically saying, how many holidays do you do that on? Amazing. And just in case you want to know, that's Singapore, and that's the hotel that everyone's going to be staying in April this year. And on the top is the swimming pool, which is ridiculous. I've not qualified, but never mind. It's going to be amazing. So again, you can say that's where they're all going in April. Incredible. Chairman's bonus, obviously, I say, look at this, look at these checks, blah, blah, blah. And then obviously I touch on the bottom here and I would just say it's paid out globally. I would say we go to something, or there's something called Global Rally, where distributors from all over the world come together in a destination. It can be anywhere in the world. Obviously, last year, as you guys, most of you know, was London that me and John went to. But generally, there was somewhere a lot more exotic. But you haven't got to mention that. You can just say somewhere amazing in the world. People go and pick up their checks, quite simply, for building amazing businesses. And then what I say is, as you can see these checks, I say these are a yearly bonus. This is not like what they've got paid a year. This is on top of what they're doing. This is just a yearly bonus. Don't ever go, yeah, they get a chairman's bonus check. Because someone said to me recently, oh, that's what they get a year. And I was like, no, that's on top of what they've made all year. So make sure you're knowing as well, make sure you know how it works a little bit. Get your incentives book out. You have to know the business inside out if you want to share it with people, guys. And then again, you've got the checks ranging from $3.5 to $1 million. And then quite simply, we sort of get to a point of the presentation now where we say how to build your team. So we've mentioned how to get your customers. And again, we've said everyone you know is a potential customer. And at this point, you just say it's exactly the same with your team. Who doesn't want more money? And use the pictures. Who's got kids? Who's a little bit older and hasn't got pension? Who's, I don't know, got bad health or anything like that? Who might have their own business, who wants an extra income? Who's a student and wants money on the side, or you can just, pick bits and pieces out. And obviously, if you know people, like, for example, Claire and Keith Spencer, she was a childminder, and I forget what he does now, but she was a childminder, and she was scrimping. Hang on. Oh, just muting Jackie. You can say, for example, with her, you've got, she was obviously scrimping and saving, and then she's just done amazing. So you've got kind of that. And then building your team, I basically would say to them, you've got potential team members. All we do is we help you as your coach and mentor to identify the team members. We contact and we show. And then obviously if they like what they see, they get involved in the business and we take them to a business presentation, and then we get you started. So we basically help you to build your team. And then obviously we go around that wheel. So I would just say there's you in the middle, and I would help you as your coach if you saw something in this business for you to make it happen. Talk about what people say. Obviously, let them read that. You might want to say a little bit more on your story there, and you might want to sort of at this point say, well, do you feel excited about what it could do for you? So you might get a little bit of a buzz about what somebody else wants to do as well, and they might start getting excited, thinking, oh my God, I see actually what it could do for me. And then you literally start to close off the presentation really by just saying, these are the benefits really before we finish. You just say, look, it's a proven business model. I would say it's uncapped income potential, so you can earn what you want. 37 years we've been doing this. uncapped income potential, it's willable, really important to mention, to say you can pass it down to your children or whoever you want. It's about you. You work it as and when you want. The training and support is amazing, and you get recognition and appreciation like no other, job or anything else that you've done before. And then again, you just close with saying, will you take it seriously? Will you put in the time and effort that any new venture requires? And then obviously you sort of say it is a business. It works if you work. Are you self-motivated? And you just ask them the questions really, but you don't wait for an answer. You just kind of say, look, these are the kind of things that you need to be doing. And then here I often say, look, we all want massive goals, but we often shrink our goals to the size of our income, whereas really Forever teaches you to dream big again. And then at that point, really, we just kind of say, you can sometimes say you might be in one of three places. So you can just say, no problem, we respect you. Might not agree with you. You could say, possibly you've got some questions. Brilliant, answer them. And if you say, are you excited? And they might go, yep, absolutely. What do I do next? And then all you do is you just say, you register, we get you started, we order your distributor pack, and then we book your planning meeting and we get you earning money. And we get you starting to build your business. And then literally you end on that kind of wheel again where you say, look, you've looked at everything there. I've shown you the presentation. You know why you're looking at this. You know why you met me for a coffee or XYZ. Hopefully you've seen something in there that would work for you. And then at that point, I would just go back to the beginning. And I often close now with this line, and I would say, so from everything you've seen so far, with a little bit more besides and more information, do you see something in it for you, and do you feel excited? And then you need to kind of be quiet at this point, and you need to grasp from them where they're at, what they've made of it, where their head's at. Are they excited? Do they look confused? Have they got questions? And you're thinking, maybe I need to try and help you now to do this. So yeah, I hope that's helped everybody. I did actually have an awful lot of people on the line. I've now only got 3 of you, which is a real shame because I've just been talking for ages. But I hope that's helped you anyway, and I hope that obviously that is kind of useful to you in terms of being able to do a one-to-one with somebody else and with other people. Those of you who've been on the presentation tonight, who are obviously still on it, do you guys find that kind of helpful? Have you found that, like, you took tips from that you could go and do kind of in one-to-ones or things like that? Yeah, cool. All right, guys. I'm just looking. I think a lot of people have had to go off for different reasons, but I didn't want to make. I was going to make it 9:30, but obviously there's a lot to cover, and I want to make sure that you guys are information, full of information for you guys. So thank you very much, guys. I hope that's been helpful, and I will pop up the recording hopefully tomorrow if it all works fine, and I will speak to you all soon. So thank you for staying on, guys, and I'll speak to you all soon. Cheers, guys.